and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. Episode number 70. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in as usual. Tonight, we have another great show with some great guests as well. We're going on the women's and men's side this time. Our first guest, love her to death. Met her almost 2 years ago. Man, it's hard to believe it's been almost that long. She's went from being known regionally to exploding on scene nationally. And she signed with South Alabama last November. We have Ms. Krista Narcisse. How you doing today?
Good, I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. I wanted to bring you on the show as we talk about your journey of signing with South Alabama and getting almost, 25 offers before you finally made that decision?
Yes, sir. About that.
Okay, so we're going to hop right into it as we talk about this. Why South Alabama?
I'll be honest. I went on a good bit of visits, and it's just, when you know. South Alabama checked all my boxes. Academics, location, just the environment. The culture there was just great on my visit, and it was like a no-brainer for me.
Kind of felt like home to you?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Got you. And what's your expectations for next year at South Alabama? You looking to contribute right away?
That's my plan, of course. I'm a competitor, so I'm going in with my mentality, my energy, and my heart, and whatever role I have to play for the team to be as successful, I'm ready to do it.
That sounds good. Now, when we first met, a bunch of the in-state schools knew about you and not a bunch of the out-of-state schools. Did that kind of drive you to want to be known?
Yes, sir. Of course. I mean, any player wants to, be as big of a name as they possibly can. So, being known in Louisiana was great, but whenever I finally was able to be known outside Louisiana, it meant so much more. Like that, my hard work is paying off and just being recognized by many different people.
And that's a good point that you brought up. And, I want people to understand the work ethic it took to get you to this point. How many days did you kind of train before you played AAU? Were you training like 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week?
Yes, sir. Yeah, most definitely. Especially before like big tournaments, you get as much gym time as you possibly can just to make sure everything's working right, fix all the little mechanics and just show your best work.
And when you went up against those big names, and that kind of drive you like the night before, like, I really want to do well against this person so I can get my name out there and do well. And so people can know that I'm not just some local product.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, I really didn't think about it too much. I always, any game I play, I come in with the same mindset. I got to get down, go handle business, do whatever I can to make my team win. And I mean, whenever you play basketball the right way, good things come out of it.
That's a great point. Do you think there was a big difference between AAU and high school basketball?
I would say, yeah, there is a difference. AAU is more of a, everybody's, trying to show them whatever, and then I mean, you're not really fighting for something. You're just playing games, playing basketball. But in high school, you have that goal to get to the state championship. So every day, that's your goal. Your every practice, every time it gets hard, you think about that goal.
That's a good point. And going into college, what do you think your expectation is going to be? Do you think it's going to be faster, stronger, more physical? What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's going to be all that. That's why in this offseason I've been really working on my speed, endurance, and getting in the weight room, because I know that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You are 100% right on that. And, it'll take you some time to adjust, but, you're an intelligent individual. And it's one of those things where people have to understand you're just not going to go in there from day one and put up 35 a night. There's going to be some days you may struggle. There may be some days where you start to figure it out. And as you get to your sophomore and junior year, you'll become more and more comfortable. But, I think a lot of the people at South Alabama are looking forward to you getting down there as well. Let me ask this. What did you think about Mobile?
Oh yeah, it's a great city. It's bigger than Lafayette, where I'm from. So it still has that city vibe, but it's not too big. So like it's
Okay.
just right.
So you kind of wanted something that wasn't too big, but not too small,
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Well, let me ask this. So, with you leaving Lafayette, you feel like you have Lafayette on your shoulders because, you're going to have a lot of support. I know Marcus and the rest of the people at Lafayette and Lafayette High is going to be behind you as well. Do you feel like that's going to drive you even more to represent for Lafayette?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Lafayette is kind of small. So I mean, when one person wins in Lafayette, we all win. So I feel like, just being able to make them proud and just show them like just make them proud of me.
And I agree. I mean, and when people didn't know, and I came to find out really what fast that there's some good basketball in Lafayette that a lot of people didn't know about. And I speak on this on your behalf as well. As I started to talk about you to coaches, and they were like, Lafayette, tell me some more. And I was like, listen, I didn't know either. I was like, trust me. I was like, I'm a believer now. And as you started to explode, it was kind of, I wasn't ready for it, to be honest with you. It was like, okay, okay. And you remember one of the biggest ones is when Mississippi State came calling. I was like, okay, we're in business right here. Okay.
Yeah.
She's going to be something special. And it was a train that just took off. And I'm sure it was kind of overwhelming to you to an extent because I know that phone and between calls and texts before you sign, what was the average day like of people texting and calling?
Texting, I would say I had at least 6 schools every day, and then calls be like about two every day, especially coming up to that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hectic.
And you were just ready to get it over with and say, okay,
Yes.
this is enough. Let me go ahead and make my decision. Because just think if you'd have waited till February or March, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I really just wanted to enjoy my high school season, I mean,
Mhm.
just take every moment by its time. So after I made that decision, it was like a sigh of relief because that was like what I was thinking about all summer, every time I would get an offer, it's like, oh, another school to consider and stuff like that. So
Now,
that's
and I'm glad you brought that up. Sure, South Alabama checked off all the boxes, and I'm sure there were some other schools that you were kind of like, this is better than this school. This is better. And that kind of had you going back and forth.
yes, sir. Yeah, it was close. Like there was, each school had like its pro like that was like
Yeah.
higher than the other one. It's like which one matters more and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. And playing in the Sun Belt Conference, that's a tough league. I mean, the Sun Belt Conference is not some pushover league, and now you're playing to make it to the dance as well, which is even that's the ultimate goal, like you said.
Right.
Winning the state championship was the goal in high school. Now the goal is to make it to the NCAA tournament, where you're on television, you're doing post game and press conferences and all that stuff. Sure, that's a part of all of this, but I know you want to continue to get better, but where do you see yourself in 4 years, at South Alabama? Do you see yourself as a possibly a captain, or do you see yourself mentoring the younger players? Where do you see yourself?
I most definitely see myself as a captain. Especially this year in high school, I was the only senior for most of the year, so I mean, I've developed much better as a leader. And so I gained more patience and just I look at basketball different. When you're a leader, you're responsible for your whole team. Got to keep them all in check and everything, and just make sure everything moves slowly, no issues among each other and stuff like that. So I most definitely see myself, coming to South Alabama, and then by my senior year for sure, yeah, I'll most definitely plan on being a captain.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, if they don't know, I have no problem telling people this. You're a high academic student. And, one of the things that made this so enjoyable is, I didn't have to worry about, well, she has a 2.3. I know she can't get into this school. And that's, of course, that's no knock to anybody that, has a lower GPA, but your options, and I can tell you this now, your options were limitless because of your GPA. You took AP courses, you were 4.0 plus, and you had college credits, so you checked all of those boxes, and it made it so much easier to promote and say, hey, this is Kristen Narcisse. She can go pretty much to any school in the country. Hence, that's why you got one of the Ivy League offers. How did you feel about getting the Ivy League offer?
It felt good, I mean, as the highest academic possible, that you can get. So, I mean, me being high on academics and wanting to go to medical school, it was a great opportunity.
And I'm glad, and that feeds right into the next question. What do you want to major in college?
I juggled back and forth between biology and then I was going to do nursing, but I finally decided I'm going to do biomedical sciences.
Okay, and South Alabama has that?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So, and do you, after your 4 years are up, do you want to stay there and go to grad school, or are you looking at possibly other grad school situations, or is this too early to tell right now?
Yeah, it's too early to tell. You're going to see how everything plays out and what opportunities come available.
Okay, so you're going to do your intern at the hospital down there, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now, are you going to do it there, or are you already interning in Lafayette?
This past semester, I interned at Women's and Children's Hospital, where I was able to shadow like OBGYNs and then the labor and delivery nurses there. So I kind of got an insight of it, and I really enjoyed it. So.
Okay, good. And I would assume the way your grades are, you're probably up for that NCAA postgraduate scholarship once you graduate, and then you'll be able to pick whatever school you want. If you keep grades like you did in high school, that'll be the limit for that right there. And I always like to see these type of success stories. Of course, I love to see you play, but I was more proud of mentioning your grades first all the time before I say, oh, she can play, she can do this, that, and the other, because, I was kind of, I used to always hate where I said, hey, I have this really good player, and she has a 2.7. And unfortunately, what a lot of kids don't understand, that checks a lot of schools off of their list right there because they don't have that 3.0 and higher. And then for, like you said, some of those Ivies, if you don't have 3.5 or higher, and in some small instances, 3.7 or 3.8. But, I walked in there with my chest out, when I would bring you in there, what you got? There's no problem. We got that. We got that. And by that time, that's when they started to say, okay, let me see film, let me see this. And as you checked all of that off, that's when my phone started ringing. I was like, oh, okay. But what I want you to explain to these young ladies, how important, and I know your mom and dad now, and you come from a really strong background, and they pushed academics. I want you to let those, not only just Lafayette, but anybody that's watching this show, how important grades are.
Grades are everything. I mean, how I grew up, if you can't get your grades right, then you don't need to play basketball or anything. And basketball isn't guaranteed. So your grades are your options, are your other options. So I mean, I'm a high achiever. Anything I do, I want to be the best at it. So just getting good grades is a part of that. And you could get athletic scholarships and academic scholarships, and they can cover almost the same amount. So get those grades right.
I couldn't agree with you more. And, just watching as this unfolded for you, just watching from afar and watching up close as well, I can see your teammates just paying attention and say, okay, I want to experience what Chris is experiencing right now. And fortunately, you guys traditionally have a strong team. So you were able to see some of your teammates from last year start to get offers as well. So you saw part of that process. And there's some good talent in Lafayette as well, where other young ladies were getting offers, as well as some of your AAU teammates. So you got a sneak peek at all. This wasn't like you were just doing this by yourself and you didn't see it from afar as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a great feeling, when one eat, we all eat. So being able to see my teammates eat made me happy.
I understood. And I mean, now some of the underclassmen are starting to get attention for Lafayette. And that's, I was like, okay, I see them out there. Yeah. And I mean, you got state champions. So with you being state champions, that brings a certain amount of attention to the school. So, they're going to have to understand, they're going to have to work just as hard as you and the ones before you to get to this point. Because when those coaches come calling, sometimes it could be just a one-shot deal. You never know who's watching, whether it be at AAU, whether it be at Showdown at the Lake, or at the state championship, or at the Sugar Bowl. You never know who's watching. And, all it takes is that one time. And I can speak on this as well. There was times this summer when we played in Dallas. I was in South Carolina, but I was on the phone. And with me being on the phone, hey, you need to go to court 6 or court 5. And it would be a situation where you played well. And I always knew when you played well. If you played well, automatically the phone started ringing. Okay, what's her situation? And that's why I want people to understand. And that's another reason why I brought you on the show, because, your talent was never a question. It was just people getting to know about you more than anything. And I was glad that you weren't that type of person where, well, I got a couple offers, I'm just going to do what I want to do this game. No, you were going hard every game. And whether it was an ankle injury or whatever the case may be, you were still going hard. And what you didn't know is coaches noticed that as well. When you were kind of hobbled and you were still going hard, that was the report back. I want somebody like that on my team. And look, I'm in another state. I'm at another live period event. And all I can do is smile. It's like, yeah, she got it. She got it. This is what she wants. And it's evident, now shout out to your dad. I know he's a kid as well. So, I can see where that mentality came from. So, but I was just so happy to see that for you. And that only just rose your stock even higher. And, like I said, I would hope a lot of people are watching how this all is playing out for you, how it's playing out for Jada, and even your roommate who's going to play volleyball. And I was like, okay. But this is really big for Lafayette because, it's not just the Louisiana thing. Like you said, if one eats, now Lake Charles eats. Now New Orleans eats. Now Shreveport eats. And even some of the smaller cities than that, like Monroe and the rest of these, and some of them I'd never heard of before. I was like, oh, like Peabody High School. I was like, man, they got some good players. And then when I saw Wassman, I was like, oh, they're good too. And now as I go to other states, I'm like, hey, man, you need to see Louisiana. And I think it was a situation where you guys were just underserved more than anything. You were just underserved. Like, of course, Louisiana Tech, Monroe, McNeese, New Orleans, Tulane, of course, all Grambling, Southern, all those knew about you. But like once you got past Beaumont, Hattiesburg, maybe a little bit of Oklahoma and Arkansas, nobody knew. And with nobody knowing, I was like, this got to change. And proudly, I can say it's starting to change, where people are starting to say, hey, who are these Louisiana girls? And I was like, man, they can play. The only thing I say, and I think you're going to agree with this as well, man, I just wish you guys had a shoe team in state. If you guys had an Adidas, Nike, or Under Armour team, I think that's the biggest thing that's missing for Louisiana. And I hope it comes together one day because Texas and Arkansas are eating off of you guys.
Oh, yeah.
They are eating, but, hey, Louisiana, if you're listening, all you AAU guys get together and get one shoe team. I mean, it's going to benefit these young ladies a lot in the future. Is there anything you want to say before we end this tonight? First of all, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. I mean, this has been, as crazy as it may sound, this has been one of the easiest promotions for me because you checked every box. There wasn't one box that, I don't know. When people start to ask me, what's wrong with her? Is she crazy? Is something going on? I was like, no. I was like, I'm telling y'all. And that became one of my most popular terms. I'm telling y'all need to go see this young lady. And I was so confident in that because, not only when I got to know your dad and your family, I mean, it was a comfort. Like, you check everything. Alan said again, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. And thank you for all that you do, helping
Oh
me know.
no, I mean, this is what it's all about. And I wish I had 10 more Kristas like this. Oh, I'd be sitting back just in heaven then. But is there anything you want to tell the audience for people that are coming up behind you?
I would just say always give it your best. Like he said, you don't know who's in the stands, you don't know who's watching the game, you don't know who's on the live stream watching the games. And first impressions mean a lot. So you don't know when that first impression is. So if you give it your 110% every game, every practice, it'll pay off. Somebody will find you as what you're putting in the work and giving it all you have.
Absolutely. Listen, this won't be the last time I see you. I've already applied for my South Alabama credentials. So I'll be down there as part of the media and, keep working hard. Congratulations. And I can't wait to see you next fall. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. You take care. We'll be talking soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Listen, I love that young lady right there because this is what it's all about. And when I say this is what it's all about, you have a student athlete, not an athlete student. She's going to be successful way past basketball. For you guys that are watching this, male or female, take heed to that because this can be over in 4 or 5 years, and an injury can be over in a year. If it's a crucial, critical injury and you can't get back out there on the court, she has grades to fall back on, so she'll be just fine. And, her family has preached that to her over and over again. And I'm big on that as well, as preaching grades and academics, because when you get to college, you don't understand, you got 4 or 5 years max. And very few college athletes are going on to play professional. So enjoy your time and make something out of it. My next guest, boy, I can't wait for this weekend because whenever I learn something new, boy, I had Coach Carl Little on a couple months ago, and he put me on with the Military Cup. And verbatim, I've been polling coaches, asking them, do you know about the Military Cup? And they're looking at me just as crazy as I was looking at Coach Little because I had no idea about it. But trust me, I got to learn. And our next guest, man, he's going to put us on because this weekend I will be in San Antonio for the Military Cup. We got Coach Mike Richardson from the All Air Force team. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm all over the place, man. But, man, I can't wait for this weekend because, man, to be honest, there are so many coaches that don't know about this. And on both sides, men's and women. And they were like, no, I've never heard of that. And as I started explaining it to it, like Coach Little explained it to me, everybody's eyes kind of perked up because as we all know, the colleges are moving towards going older. And, we're going to get into that some as well. But people understand when you join the military, your clock freezes. And when you come out, you still have your 4 years of eligibility. And people don't understand that. So as I start talking to coaches, and they were like, wait a minute. And as I start saying, I said, and it's free on your budget because they'll be on the GI Bill. I said, well, you can spend your money if you want to, but that would be kind of foolish if they're on the GI Bill already. Once I start talking like that, D1s were already like, that is a nice little deal. But the D2s were that a lot of times they have to package their stuff with academic money, financial need money, and Pell and all that. They were like, where do I find this at? I've never heard of this. So, man, I'm going to let you talk about this, man. Tell us about the Military Cup, man.
Before we get started on that, the young lady you just had on, Krista Narcisse. I kind of came on late. So she's from Louisiana?
Yes, sir. She's from Lafayette.
Oh, I'm a Cajun. Raging Cajun.
Okay.
That's why I went to school.
Okay.
I'm from New Orleans, born and bred in the city.
Okay. So, like I said, man, a lot of people don't know there's some good basketball in Louisiana, and I'll be the first to say I didn't know, man. I did not know, and I'm a believer now. Trust me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's a lot of great basketball down there. There's a lot of people. Go back, check your history books now. Hey, all-time NCAA leading scorer, Pistol Pete. Hey, out the
Now
boot.
hold on. Now, I'm gonna cut you halfway on that. Now I'm from Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's from the outskirts. He moved to Louisiana, so y'all can claim him partially. You claim him partially.
Yes, he did. Yes, sir. You know,
he's from right outside
came down and put.
Yes, he is. But you know, his dad is a coach down there in Louisiana. He's a legendary coach. So for, like you said, the people that don't know their history, yes, we know all about Pete Maravich. Trust me.
Yeah. We got there's some good basketball down there, man.
Oh, definitely. I mean, let's talk. Who is it? The center. I don't want to say Wes Unseld because he's from Louisville. My boy will kill me if I say that. Who's the big center that's a Hall of Famer? He's from
Bob Pettit.
Well, Bob Pettit, and there's one more. I can't remember. I know Robert Parrish went to Centenary. I know Robert Parrish.
Centenary, yeah.
I can't remember.
Willis Reed.
Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Grambling.
So yeah, and my guy that coaches in New Orleans, Randy Livingston.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he coaches the EYBL
my hometown.
team. I had him on the show.
Yeah, from my hometown.
Yeah, definitely. But man, tell us, folks, about the Military Cup because, man, when I clip this and put this out there, so many people have been like, "What is this?"
The National Military Basketball Tournament is happening this weekend. It's always annually the last weekend in April. It's a festive event. It really is. Probably outside of the Armed Forces men and women basketball championships, this is probably the biggest tournament that everybody looks forward to. What ends up happening is we bring in the top 16 military varsity teams in the nation from all over. We got a team coming up as far as from Hawaii on the west, and the team far east is the DC area. So it's going to be quite an event. I've had a few coaches, NAIA coaches, Division I, Division II coaches who are interested, who's going to be in the building. They're going to be in there taking in all the action. For the most part, as you stated earlier, yes, your clock stops once you start the military. We have some guys that have some collegiate experience on the hardwood, but for whatever reason, everyone has a story. Whether his money runs out or what have you, they jump on and join the military, get that GI Bill, and it takes on. But basketball doesn't stop. It's probably one of our biggest recruiters right now when we talk about retention and getting folks to re-enlist because, a lot of people think, their basketball careers are over and once they join the military, and that's not the case. What we have here is this weekend, we bring in all of the armed service coaches from each branch. All of them will be in the building. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. All their head coaches will be in the building. Along with me, Coach Carl Little is one of the founders of this tournament. He and my supervisor, they founded the tournament back in 2009. This is our 14th year. It started off kind of like pretty much we were looking for the best hoopers in the military to kind of put into like a combine situation where we can get them all in one venue over a weekend and get all the armed service coaches in to kind of come in like a combine, like a basketball combine, get them playing basketball and hey, depending on what branch they were in, we go out there and reach out to them and try to get them on our rosters for in the fall when we actually do battle against each other. For bragging rights, the battle of the services. And then from that tournament, we get an all-star team that becomes Team USA, which is to represent what I'm wearing here on my chest, the Armed Forces team, in which we go overseas and we participate in the Shape tournament down in Mons, Belgium, where we mix it up with all of our NATO allies, countries such as Lithuania, France, the UK, the Netherlands, all our countries that fall under our NATO treaty. They all are there, both men and women. So this weekend is going to be a very big weekend. Going to be a lot of what we've done is we're going to break those 16 teams into 4 pools. And we break them into 4 regions, almost like the NCAA. It's all the games are officiated by all Division I officials representing 16 different conferences. We played the guaranteed 3 games in the pool. They're guaranteed 3 20-minute full NCAA rules, the whole 9. And after that, the top 2 from each pool will advance to the quarterfinal single elimination round. And we get to the semifinals, to the Final 4. We'll also have an all-star game. We're going to have an all-star game. All of this is live streaming, courtesy of Hero Sports for those that can't get to San Antonio.
How Hero Sports?
Hero Sports is they have on Facebook. They have a Facebook page, and they will be live streaming from their page.
Okay.
On site. It's huge. It really is. It's grown. We didn't think it would get this big, military basketball, but as you opened with, I have former teammate mine who just reached out to me last week and was like, "Hey, he's a coach at a major JUCO right now," and he was like, "Hey, Mike, I need some help. You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking at you got any guys getting out of the military? We're looking for character guys. That's what they're looking for now. They're looking for experience. They don't want a kid fresh out of high school, 18, 19 years old now that's been living under mom and pop's roof all day. They're looking for a little experience, a little maturity, and that if you get all that in your package and you bring that into your university to represent that, and then on top of that, they got their own budget. You know, you don't have to spend money on them because they're already on scholarship. So it's already taken care of by the military.
Let me ask you this: is it men and women?
Yes, sir. Oh, this tournament this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
It's only men's this weekend. We've had it, but we've moved our location for the women. Actually, we're trying to get the women back online. We've had kind of like lack of participation, so we're trying to grow that and bring it back. The women will be hopefully settled down out there in the North Carolina area around the Fort Bragg area.
When is that one?
That normally will be beginning next year. We're looking to put that one on like right end of February, early March.
Okay.
Like right around the March Madness time frame.
Okay. So I'm full of questions. Ever since Coach Little put me on, I done had about 500 questions on this one. Has anybody ever signed Division I or Division II?
Yes, sir. Bernard James. You might remember the name Bernard James. He got his start in the Air Force. He was in the Air Force, got discovered out there playing in the Armed Forces tournament. And was coach out there at Florida State.
Leonard Hamilton.
Leonard Hamilton reached out to him and saw him playing down in Florida. Next thing you know, he went to community college to get his grades up and everything. And after that, he enrolled at Florida State and ended up being a lottery pick.
Yep.
And had a great career with Dallas Mavericks for a while.
Okay. So let me here's my next question. And like I said, how do you actively recruit? Are you starting to get out there and recruit like college almost now? Or how are you just going after enlisted people?
Fortunately, where I am, I'm actually down in San Antonio at Lackland. I'm part of the Air Force. So the gateway to Air Force. Everybody comes to basic training comes through Lackland in San Antonio.
Okay.
So they don't have multiple basic training sites. Everybody that joins Air Force and currently the Space Force as well come through Lackland. So I get to see them right off the bat from the time they graduate boot camp before they go off to tech school. But I also use this platform to go to travel to many other bases who host tournaments. Another big tournament that we have is every President's Day weekend. It's up in the DC area. It's called the Capitol Classic. It's hosted at Joint Base Meyer Henderson Hall out there in Arlington, Virginia. And I make it a point to make sure I get out there to as many military tournaments as possible, so I can get out and see these players, these athletes all around. Because what ends up happening in the application window will be opening up for them to get an opportunity to come and try out in our camp in October. The window will open up in late July. So this tournament is kind of set up. This is pretty much a lot of our military service coaches' last opportunity to catch some guys before we start having them put those applications in July.
Understood. Okay. So let's just say I join the military, I have to be in there for 4 years. And so I can try out every year if I don't make it, correct?
Correct. What ended up happening is from the time because believe it or not, a lot of people don't really hear about the program initially when they come in the military. They're usually in after about a year or so. Then they there's an all service team. Mm-hmm. Oh, and they travel, they go overseas and play. Oh my, how do I get involved with that? And and what happens is they come and try out. Normally we bring in about 20 to 24 guys every year. Same thing for the women. They also have their tournament as well. And we bring them in. We have about a 2-week camp in which they try out. And then after the final 12 is named, whoever's the host service, this fall, it'll be hosted by Fort Benning, by Army out there in Georgia. So we'll have a camp. We'll get out there, and then we're going to go in and we're going to do battle with our sister services for a whole week. 7 games in 7 days.
When is the one in Fort Benning?
That one's going to be November 31st through November 6th.
Okay.
And the camps will be right before that in October.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely put that on my calendar because that's not far.
Army's the reigning champions right now. They won it this past November. Coach Little's all excited about that.
So do you get like a big trophy? What do you get when you win the military cup?
Stand by just a second.
Okay. I'm assuming he's about to show us what this military cup looks like, and it's probably for bragging rights, more than likely.
So at the Armed Forces, which literally you get these gold medals.
Okay.
Every veteran will get a gold medal. But for the National Military Basketball Tournament, we're trying to make this as close as to NCO so they can get that NCAA feel as much as possible. We give rings. They get we got the national championship banner. We have a national championship trophy. We award the all tournament. We named them All Americans. They get their rings and they get a year of bragging rights. So it's a real big deal. And on top of that, they get to do this in front of, like I said, individuals like myself who are coaching all service teams, depending on what branch. Hey, we reach right out there and we go get them right away. Hey, we see a guy. He's nice. We might want to talk to him and see where he's played, because a lot of these guys have played. And for the most part, at the Armed Forces level, you're looking at the majority of the teams, like for Coach Little, when he headed up the All-Army team, he had at least 4 or 5 guys from West Point who played D1.
Yeah.
And vice versa with us at the Air Force. I have 4 or 5 guys that played at Air Force Academy.
The Air Force Academy. Yeah.
So we have a lot of guys that's played, hey, for instance, hey, if you haven't seen, Mountain West plays basketball.
Yeah.
Hey, San Diego State just made the Final Four. Well, those guys that played at Air Force Academy, they play those guys twice a year. So that's to show you what type of talent is out there.
And the Naval Academy has a team as well. I mean, they got a
Correct.
D1 team. And the
That's
Coast
correct.
Guard, is that D3 or is that
They are D2, I want to say.
D2? Okay.
D2 as well as the Merchant Marines.
Merchant Marines, yes.
They have a team as well. But for armed forces level, actually the Coast Guard members participate with the naval team.
Okay.
So they kind of fall under all Navy for armed forces standards,
Okay.
as well as the Space Force now goes underneath the Air Force as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is going to kick off Friday or Saturday?
Friday. We're bringing in all the coaches. Everyone's coming in on Thursday night. We have an icebreaker coaches meeting, and they'll meet with the officials as well. So the officials will brief all the coaches on pretty much what to look for, the tendencies of what's going on in D1 basketball, what we're looking for. So once that happens, they'll have an icebreaker. They'll go back, relax, and then 0800 Friday morning, we got 2 gyms at Lackland, and games are going from 8 to 8.
Okay. So
we got 14 games. 14 games on tap Friday, 14 games on tap Saturday, and the last 5 games on tap Sunday, which includes the semifinals, all-star game, consolation game, and then the national championship.
Gotcha. Okay. And I can't wait for this. And like you said, you're going to have an all-tournament team and an all-American team, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All-Americans, and you're going to have an all-star MVP as well, award that's going to be given.
And an all-star MVP. So let me ask this question as well. So let's say I'm playing for your team, Coach Richardson. Let's say this is my second year in, right? I'm 2 years in and I still got 2 more years. Let's say I tear it up this weekend in front of these NAI Division II coaches, and now my stock is on fire right now. How is that handled with me having 2 more years? How does that work?
One or two things could happen, because there are, for instance, the Air Force, we have many programs in which we can get individuals to separate early. As long as they meet their commitment, because everyone has a certain amount of commitment that you have to negotiate in order to be able to get full credibility, full scholarship money for school.
To meet that Montgomery GI Bill. Yeah.
Yes. So you got to make sure that you take care of those first 24 months of service, and you got to do that honorably. And so, and a lot of times what ends up happening is for those last 2 years, once they're on the radar and they're tearing it up, they start to get their plans together. They start talking to their leadership, to their commanders, and so forth, and they're looking for different programs. For instance, it's real cool. Like, let's say, for instance, if you're a young guy, really young guy, let's say, for instance, been in 2 years, he's 20 years old, and if he's tearing it up that way, I've also got connections with the Air Force Academy. So, so what ends up happening is we run a pipeline directly to them. We'll get guys that are active duty enlisted, and they'll cross over and become officers. So what they'll do is they'll release them off active duty, send them to the academy, and they'll continue to graduate. They'll continue to go to school and graduate. And at the same time, as they're graduating, as they're in school, they are a freshman in eligibility.
Yes.
And so one thing about the academies don't use a transfer portal. They can't bring folks in like that. So, you know, a lot of times the really good kids in the academy and the service academies, they may leave, but service academy doesn't use the portal to bring folks in because it's, you know, the academic requirements are so stringent. So what ends up happening if we have that young individual that tears it up this weekend in the tournament and he happens to be younger than 22 years of age, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call one of the coaches at the Air Force Academy, and I'm going to say, hey, I got this guy down here. Y'all want him? Come on, look at the tape, and we'll work it out to where we can get him in whether it be the Air Force Academy prep school. If he doesn't have the enough credits yet, we'll put him in the prep school, and then he'll go for 1 year, and then he'll go right into the Air Force Academy.
Now, I'm glad you just opened up two more questions. At prep school, so tell people about the Air Force Academy prep school, because just recently that's been brought to my attention. So you're the perfect person to talk about this.
The Air Force Academy prep school is it's a preparatory course, and what it is they basically play now the prep school roster. Those kids play pretty much they play a JUCO.
Yeah, like a post grad, like, right?
Yeah, they play top notch, and actually they just won a JUCO, a version of the JUCO national championship for the prep schools, so to speak, out there in Maryland a couple weekends ago. Mm-hmm. But what ends up happening is they'll go to the prep school if they're not fully academically eligible yet to enter the academy. So what they'll do is they'll like take a couple courses, whether they may be short a math course, they haven't met the math requirement or the English requirement or one of those. They'll do that for 1 year, get those credits, and then they will just go. It's almost like a farm system, basically. It's what it looks like. It's like a farm system.
So you've graduated from high school to get into this prep school, correct?
Correct.
Got you. So it is. So yes, it is more of a post-grad feel to it.
Yes, exactly.
A military post-grad. Now, is the Air Force the only one that has a prep school like that?
Oh, no. West Point has a prep school. Naval Academy has a prep school.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
all our service academies have a prep school.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk offline now that you brought that up, because there's some things going on that would be beneficial on both sides for that. And we'll talk about that this weekend too, as well.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
So, okay. As I'm learning this as well, because like I said, I mean, even though we're on air, you know, I could talk to you another hour this, because I mean, there's so much information. And like I said, when Coach Little first was telling me, I was like, wait, what? Well, what about this? And he was like, no, this, or yes to that. Yes. And I'm like, well, why don't people know about this? And to be honest, that's why I was 100% on board with using my platform to get this out there on the men's and women's side, because like I said, I haven't stopped thinking about this since Coach Little introduced me to you. And, you know, this has been in the back of my mind all season. And as I've been out traveling, and I was asking questions like, hey, have you heard about this? Would you entertain this? And verbatim, everybody was like, yes. And I'm sitting here like, okay, we got something here. It's just people don't know about it. And I fully expect in the next 2-3 years, I'll do whatever I can to keep pushing this, because the way college basketball is even set up, this is tailor-made for this. Tailor-made. Now, I got another big question for you as well, because it was my first experience with it. Mm-hmm. What would be the difference between if I go into the military and I get the GI Bill, or if I'm and don't quote me if I'm wrong, Article 35 for college? What's the difference between that GI Bill and that Article 35?
GI Bill and the Article 35, which used to be almost along the lines of the Prop 48 back in the day.
Okay.
In my day. where again,
You speaking my language. That means we're the same age.
yeah, back in my day when I came out, you had to meet pretty much academic requirements.
Yes.
A certain level score on the ACT, SATs to be eligible. You don't hear too much about that anymore because it's a thing of the past, I guess. But for the most part, what ends up happening is those coaches at these universities or these institutions, once they go to Article 35, they're looking at so many scholarships. They have so many scholarships awarded. Well, those military members don't go against your number. So matter of fact, my friend, a former teammate last week, he hit me up with, hey, I'm looking for characters, guys. I'm looking for someone in the military with some experience, mature. You know what we're looking for, yes. And someone who got their own Montgomery GI Bill, their own way to pay for their books and everything else, because we have a very limited budget. And that's what it boils down to, especially when you're talking about the lower mid-majors, the JUCOs, the D1s, D2s. They don't have a lot of money like these big Power 5 schools.
Correct.
So that's where it comes into where, hey, and who knows where it's going in the future, with the NIL deals happening, that's even more options, especially when you think about, let's say, for instance, a military member who's getting out. Let's say he's a hero. Mm-hmm. Let's say he has served in wars and conflicts, highly decorated. Guess what? USA go jump all over that person. That's NIL money available right there.
Listen, I had a prospect, and that's why I brought that up. I only knew about the GI Bill, and so the mom brought to me that she said his dad is Article 35, and I'm looking like,
what is that?
Heard of it, but I don't know too much about, and I didn't know there was a difference in money as well.
No, it's more or less in that case, for that individual's case, it's basically money. Like, for instance, my son, I'm retired military. I will fall under that Article 35 because I happen to be in Texas, which takes care of their veterans. We have no state taxes here. So I'm 100% disabled or whatever. My son, he gets that. He can go to any school free on me.
Wow.
And that's where that money is not the same. That's plus on top of, because he's getting that from his he's a dependent. So he's getting that from his sponsor, which would be whichever family member or parent which was in the military. Okay. Now, what Montgomery GI Bill is what he's getting from himself. Now, there is also a program that I can, if I didn't use my Montgomery GI Bill, I can pass it down to my kids.
Really? Even though they're not enlisted? Correct.
Because they're my dependents.
Wow.
That's what she was getting at. So if the father didn't use the Montgomery GI Bill, he could pass it on to him as well. So in lieu two plus.
Listen, that I'm probably going to clip that right there and replay that for people to understand, because I never knew that. I had no idea.
There are, and we're just basically touching the tip of the iceberg. There are so many programs out there available that people do not know about. You can easily just go in Google and just Google it.
Oh, don't worry about it. Wait till this
weekend. All kind of information out there.
Don't worry about it. Wait till this weekend. I'm gonna pick you off all weekend with questions. Trust me. I know you got a coach, but I'll be right there patiently waiting.
No, I will not be coaching this weekend. I'm the tournament director, so I'll be running the tournament.
Well, we'll be sitting together then.
And we'll be sitting together in distinguished visitor, in the DV section, enjoying ourselves, watching some great basketball, chopping it up, and having a good time. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, yes, sir. Believe that.
And Carl will be here with us.
Yeah,
And
and
he'll
definitely
be
promoting this because that. I mean, I'm telling you, I promise you, of the people I've asked, and I've been to numerous events so far, I asked this question. Everybody's like, "What's that?" I've had people in Texas. I've asked. They're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "What?"
This is our
So
14th year. It's young, but I'll put another plug in for you. And what a lot of people don't understand, there's another organization, Military Basketball Association, who kind of spun off of what we did, and they've got their own organization. But same teams that you see playing, that you're gonna see playing this weekend, they play on both platforms. Well, they just announced this week, CBS Sports Network is going to have their championship game Sunday, Memorial Day weekend. That Sunday, prime time on CBS Sports Network,
okay,
live from the Koch Center out there in Wichita Falls, in Wichita, Kansas, the home of the Shockers. That's huge.
Yeah,
When we started this 14 years ago, we did not think military basketball was going to have a championship on national TV, prime time, on a major network nationwide.
I'll be there. I'll be there for that.
We're gonna chop it up. We're gonna chop it up. Yeah,
Definitely.
most definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's growing. Military basketball is growing.
And I see that. Listen, man, I mean, we passed 30 minutes, but whatever with that. But I just look at this like, what is it that you want to tell people that don't know about this military basketball?
I would tell people, don't sell it short. There's a lot of athletes that are very talented, and believe it or not, one of the Plumlee brothers, the last Plumlee brother that played for Duke, he's in the military now.
Really?
People forget. They forget David Robinson, one of all-time greats.
Naval Academy.
He came out the Naval Academy. He served.
That's a cheat code because he's our age.
Yeah, but to go even further, you got two Hall of Fame coaches. Pretty much most people consider the GOATs.
Bobby
Coach
Knight.
K.
And Coach K.
Yeah, Coach K.
And Bobby Knight.
Played for Bobby Knight.
Mm-hmm. At West Point.
Yes, he sure did. And a Hall of Fame inductee this year, Greg Popovich, Air Force Academy.
Oh, I didn't. Now that I didn't know.
He's Air Force Academy. He's Air Force Academy grad. Played in the Armed Forces tournament. The Armed Forces tournament we talk about, he played in it. Coach K also played in this tournament, in the Armed Forces tournament. So, and these guys are pretty much, no kidding, the face of basketball right now.
Yes, they are.
Coaching the USA team.
Wow.
Team USA coaches. That's all military. A lot of people don't know that, but that's, hey, that's the lineage. So I would say to tell folks, don't sell it short. We have a lot of people. I can tell you our All Air Force team this past year, all of them except two played at a higher level, collegiate basketball or professionally. And the Army, which won the gold medal, their whole roster played D1.
Wow.
Their whole roster.
And that's stuff people need to know because, see, the misconception is going to be kids will think, oh, I can go to the military cup and put up 40. No, that's not the case.
You will see this weekend. You will have a lot to talk about when you leave this San Antonio next weekend.
I'm looking forward to it.
You will get to see it because with the rosters, I've seen all the rosters. They've sent me all the rosters. And this is probably the most competitive, loaded 16 teams with talent that we probably had since the first year of having this tournament in 2009. It's that kind of talent coming in here this weekend.
Okay.
It's some hoopers. It's major hoopers coming in here.
Okay.
And
I take your word.
yeah, you'll be able to see it up close and personal. Now, I don't want to let too many cats out of the bag, but you know what? Hey, Carl Little, he has a reason to be here this weekend.
Say no more. Say no more.
I'll leave it at that. So
I got
it's
you.
important for him to come in out here, as well as a couple of coaches from a couple of local D1 universities here who have military ties as well. And on top of that, guess what? The more importantly, it's free. It's free to the public. The fans and spectators, it's free.
Wow, it's free? Really?
Free.
Okay.
Free. It's free.
That's
no
even
charge.
bigger right there.
You're going to see some of the best basketball out there. Highly top-notch officials, officiated games. The real deal. No kidding. It's
Okay.
March Madness in April. That's what I like to call it. Military March Madness in April. And
Okay.
it's free for spectators and fans. If you can get on base, we can get you there.
Say no more. I'm there. I can't wait. And like I said, this has been 8-9 months in the making of me waiting for this. So, what we probably do, to be honest, I mean, now that I just thought about it, you tell me, probably let's do a post-game podcast.
You got it.
Let's do a post-game podcast and talk about some of these players.
You got it. We got it. And those players are going to appreciate it a lot. You're going to see some great basketball. The talent that we had in this past Armed Forces tournament was unreal. It was unreal.
Okay.
And it was almost a shame that they didn't let us go and take our team USA to shape this past year, because we would have mopped the other countries. We was that deep. We was deep.
Okay.
And you'll get the opportunity. I'll make sure I introduce you to all the coaches, and you'll be right up there with us. And hey, we're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be a great time.
Looking forward to this, man. Like I said, I can't wait to continue to spread this word on the men's and women's side, man, because this is a gem right here. This is a hidden gem. This is no question. This is a hidden gem right here, man. I mean, and like I said, I can't thank Coach Little enough. And we were just having a regular conversation because he supports all of my post-grad events. Hello, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's why you got that question. And I was like, wait, y'all got post-grad? Oh, we'll be talking this weekend, because I was like, that absolutely makes sense for them to play in my events as well. Yes, absolutely. So I was like, boy, this is a nice little arrangement right here. But man, even past all that, man, like my biggest thing is giving prospects the opportunity that they might not have had, or like you said, where people don't know, and now to use my platform to go with the great product that you guys have. Man, listen, this is perfect. Like, I fully expect for this in the next 2 to 4 years to completely take off.
Oh, yeah. Like I told you earlier, it was, man, when we started this way back in 2009, we did not think it was going to get this big. We could only hope, but it is taken off. And on top of that, with coaches like Coach Little, who kind of got his grassroots through the military, and there's a couple other coaches, R.J. Johnson, Army, who's also, these guys have used this as a springboard to spring on, and their careers are taking off, at mid-majors, at D1 schools. And we're trying to just keep it going. We're trying to keep it going, open that pipeline, and not only for the players, but you're getting the same thing from the coaches as well.
Speaking of the devil, there's my guy right there. There's my guy. What's going on, Coach Little? But like I said, I can't wait to see him this weekend. I can't wait to see you, man. We got so much to talk about, man. We'll be talking all day, all night in regards to this, man. Because I mean, this is something right here that the basketball world needs to know. You know what I mean? They definitely need to know this, man. This is it right here, man. This is. And like you said, I can't wait to see the event in Memorial Day. You know what I mean? I can't wait for that.
That is huge. That is huge.
Yeah, listen, I'm excited for this weekend. I'm excited for Memorial Day. Like, the more you keep telling me, the more I'm plugged in, because I'm like, shoot. I was like, this is it right here. And for you coaches that are watching this or will watch the rerun of this, you need to come check out the Military Cup. I can't wait to talk about the talent, but I'm telling you guys, like, everything that's been told to me, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. You D2 coaches that are always talking about budget, like Coach Richardson said, man, listen, I'm telling y'all, this is a match made in heaven for you guys.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
And there are a lot of programs out there.
I couldn't agree with you more. Listen, man, we'll be talking another 2 hours, man, over this, man. But after this weekend, trust me, I will have everything I need and then some to speak some more about this, man, from A to Z. I already have your number. I already have Coach Little's number. So whenever I have questions, I'm like, hey, what about this? And you guys always hit back quickly.
Yep, that's what we're here for, man. That's what we're here for. I'm just glad you had me on today, man, and I appreciate it. And I'm gonna show you a good time. It's gonna be a blast this weekend.
Man, I can't wait for this. I'm telling you, man, I've been waiting for this for a good 7-8 months since Coach Little was on the show, and he was telling me, I was like, oh man, I need to know. But he started giving me you guys' numbers. I had them all saved. I said, I won't forget this one. Trust me. So listen, for all of our listeners, understand we will have a Military Cup podcast. We'll come on. We'll talk about some of the players. We'll talk about some of the all-stars. We'll talk about everything Military Cup related this weekend. I'll set a time sometime for this weekend or Monday, whatever the case may be. We will have a Military Cup podcast to talk some more. Will this be, you said this will be live stream, correct?
Yes.
We'll try and take some of those, try and catch some of those clips and get some of those highlights so we can play them for the Military Cup podcast.
Most definitely.
Okay. Hey, Coach Richardson, listen, brother, I appreciate you, man. I can't wait for this weekend, man. Couple more days.
Man. Hey, everybody's coming in Thursday.
Yes,
the party
sir.
starts Thursday. It's Fiesta. It's Fiesta down here in San Antonio, too. So it's on and popping.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So, man, we're going to chop it up this weekend, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you down there, brother, okay?
Likewise.
Okay, man. You take care, man. We'll talk real soon, okay?
Hey, likewise. See you this weekend.
Yes, sir. Listen, Coach Richardson right there, I'm telling you all, for you people that don't know about the Military Cup, if you watch this show, you will know a lot more about it in the upcoming weeks between the Military Cup that's going on this weekend in San Antonio and the Memorial Day Cup that they have going on that I didn't even know about. Listen, that's going to be on CBS Sports Network for you guys that didn't know about that as well. Listen, I'm totally in on what they have going on. And look, my guys out there, he's excited as well. I'm excited too. Trust me, it's about to go down. I can't wait to see this weekend as well. So that's going to wrap it up for this show. As we have the impromptu, we will have the Military Cup post game. We won't say post game. We'll just say we'll have the Military Cup podcast where we'll play some of the highlights and we'll talk about some of the players who stood out, the all-tournament team, the team that won, the all-star game. We'll talk all about that probably Sunday or Monday more than likely, because I'm sure it's going to be getting the clips together. I want to make sure this is a good show. So that's going to wrap it up for episode number 70. Listen, thank you guys for tuning in as usual. Like I said, this weekend or next Monday, we will have the Military Cup podcast. We'll talk all about everything Military Cup, and we will see you guys next week. I'm David Jones. I'm your host for Hoops Hidden Gems podcast. You guys have a good weekend.